What is up, you filthy gamers? How y'all doing? This time the video is not going to be about Sparkle, but I will do a video about her as soon as she drops. In fact, this video is about 2.1, more specifically the characters that are coming to 2.1. And I gotta say, both banners in 2.1 might be the banners that people might be pulling for both. So for this video, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on why Acheron, Aventurine, and Gallagher might be the characters that are must-pull characters. So these are just mere speculations, but hey, we love to speculate, so let's get to it. First up, let's talk about the character who is gaining or gained a lot of hype recently, and she is none other than Acheron herself. Yeah, I mean this one. So what do we know about her so far? Acheron is a lightning character following the path of nihility. So the consensus would be that is she another Dots character? Well, when it comes to nihility characters, there are generally two kinds of playstyle. The main playstyle that we all know and love is the Dots playstyle, but of course the other playstyle would be the debuff / sub DPS role like the likes of Pela, well, Gunaifen to name a few. And since Black Swan has just been released, and she's also a nihility character who follows the Dot style. In terms of banner releases, yes, same path is common, but in terms of playstyle or gimmicks, Honkai Star Rail devs tends to release new characters with new gimmicks and such. And Acheron might provide a new main hypercarry playstyle, but as a nihility character. So what can we expect from Acheron to play as a nihility hypercarry? Well, like most hypercarries, we can expect some sort of damage buff like a damage multiplier in her kit. Not only that, she might play around with debuffs. So you might set up an only nihility support team to fully utilize her hypercarry role. Her introduction will introduce a new hypercarry playstyle compared to the usual playstyle where Harmony supports, buff the hypercarry, then hypercarry goes boom boom. Of course, there's nothing wrong with having a Harmony character set up with her, but a debuffer support are her go-to. However, for sure there are some sort of cons, like all hypercarries, carries. Yes, and that would be her requirements. First up would be her supports. In order to maximize her hypercarry potential, nihility support is a must for her, for which can be detrimental for those who might not have a variety of nihility characters. However, one might counter-argue that she still deals a significant amount of damage, and I might agree on you for that. Because if she is said to be a hypercarry and she does not deal a significant amount of damage, then her worth would diminish, especially for free-to-play players. But knowing Honkai Star Rail developers, they will not overlook such area. So these are just mere speculations, but she's looking really good. So we've already talked about Acheron, we definitely cannot not talk about this next preservation character, Aventurine. Again, he might introduce a new mechanic or playstyle when it comes to sustained gameplays. So let's dive in. First, what we know of Aventurine is that he is an imaginary character following the path of preservation, so his role will be mainly a sustained role. So far, the trend of preservation, like the likes of Trailblazer providing sizable shield and taunt for allies, Japard providing a large amount of shields for allies with his ult, and then we have the latest preservation character Fushuan. She provides a different playstyle of sustain, which is damage distribution or mitigation, and on top of that she provides CC debuffs and crit rate buffs for allies. So instead of providing shields, she reduces allies taken damage by almost half by directing it to her, but at the same time reduces damage taken, and can heal herself if she takes a certain amount of damage. So what would Aventurine bring to the sustain role? Well, there's only so much a preservation can bring. He'll definitely provide some sort of shield to allies and some CC / debuffs to the team. So why CC debuffs and shields? Mainly looking at the new enemy types, especially in MOC. As a Honkai Star Rail developers, you would want to release some sort of sustained character, specifically preservation character with some CC kit. But of course, we cannot not have a gimmick, especially for new characters. So what kind of gimmick you would say? Well, Aventurine might introduce a new sub DPS / sustain role to the current roster. So far, we've seen only sustains just providing as much shields or shields to keep their team alive. But what if they can provide more than that, especially when it comes to clearing MOCs or pure fiction? That would be interesting to see, and Aventurine might give the current sustain the run for their money. Not only he can provide shields and debuffs in terms of sustains, he can also fulfill that sub DPS role to dish out those extra numbers. With all of that kit in his possession, he might be the next #1 sustain going head to head with Fushuan. Like as all other characters, Aventurine might have a caveat or two. And judging from his character in general, he might be similar to a certain Luofu character that loves to gamble. With gambling part of his personality, maybe his kid depends on some sort of percentage chance in applying his shields. Again, this is just mere speculation for now, but no one can complain if Aventurine can bring so much to the table even though he is a sustain. On the topic of sustain, don't let this chat aura deceive you. Gallagher is a 4-star fire character who follows the path of abundance. Yes, this chat is an abundance character who is also a fire character. 3 things that we don't usually see often together, but hey, first time for everything. So let's look at the previous recent 4-star abundance character, which is Lynx herself. So Lynx in general, she provides heals, dispels debuff, and provides a certain amount of CC. But that's not all. She has this feature called Survival Response, where if you have a Preservation or Destruction character, they have a higher chance of getting taunted. Here we can see Lynx can sync with some characters with the like of March, Clara, Blade to name some. And by looking at the trend, we can expect Gallagher to sync with some characters too. Since we have Acheron playing around debuffs, I will be not surprised Gallagher will have some sort of debuff to his kit. Not only that, we have seen a rise of a few characters with the focus on break damages and efficiency. And again, it will not be a surprise if he has some sort of break damage efficiency in his kit or two in higher Eidolons. And similar to Aventurine, we can see that Gallagher not only fulfill the sustain role but also the support role. Heck, maybe the sub DPS role with enough investments. So now that we have gone through how these new characters bring to the current roster, the question is, are these characters must pulls? If they turn out to be how they are going to be, then this update/banner is going to be a banger. It's an update where everyone can have a pick of their litter. If you want a hyper carry or different kind of playstyle of hyper carry, then Acheron is for you. If you need another sustain or require a different kind of sustain, then you have the likes of Gallagher or Aventurine, whoever is your preference. Whoever it is, it's for everyone. And to reiterate, 2.1 is their anniversary update. So it kind of makes sense that these new characters for this update is the best one yet and for everyone. But we can't discount Sparkle as she is almost here and the support she gives is undeniably good too. And since she's almost here, I'll soon drop a guide video on her as soon as she drops. So pull for whoever you like, and as always, see you on the next video.